This is my boat shed in Arctic Finland. I am building this, a 15-meter liveaboard cruising sailboat from scratch, using 3D modeling, CNC cutting and wood epoxy construction. And my name is Panu. Welcome! So in the previous video we got all the things prepared for the big glue up, and in this video we are doing just that. Before we start though, I want to check one more time the level of the boat, and that's why I got this. And that is not one, but two lasers. In a couple of videos ago when I leveled the boat, I got one very good suggestion how to check the level, and that is to get actually two lasers, align them together to make sure that they are both in the same level and then check the level. So that was a very good idea, and I got this a couple of days ago, and now I'm gonna put these together somewhere around there and match the lasers from this red one and this green one. And yeah, let's just do that briefly and then we'll start glue up if it's in level. If it's not, well, then we're gonna have to adjust things and postpone the gluing, but I really hope that they are level enough. Okay, I can see variation maybe half a centimeter back there, but the green laser seems to be on the same spot all the time. So this might shoot a little bit up back there, so the variation might come just from that. But overall it's very close what it needs to be, so I'm not that concerned actually. I'll move this a little bit and check it out again. All right, there's my markings. The red one was this longer line and the green one was that upper line. And the green one stayed at the same spot all the way around, but the red one kind of had variation around there. So I cannot trust the red one that much. The green one seems to be much better. But the most important thing is that this thing, the edges of this thing are so close to level that they are good to go, and that's the main goal here, and I'm very pleased. That means we can start the glue up, which is very nice. I was a little bit afraid that I would need to adjust something here, but no, it's so close to, it's almost perfect. Okay, now when I know the boat is in level, we can start the glue up. And before I actually start, let's explain a little bit what we're actually gonna glue here. So this is the side and front deck of the boat, and this is the bulwark inner surface. So this side will be exposed to the inside of the bulwark. And they both consist of two layers of plywood. This is 2 x 12 millimeter, and this is 2 x 15 millimeter. And they are going to be glued together so that they will form a structure something like this. And the reason I'm gluing them all together is that when I spread glue in this level and put this other one on top, there will be some squeeze out there, and it is really hard to clean up underneath that corner. So I'm gonna glue this side in at the same time. But that makes this glue up slightly bigger, of course. It's pretty straightforward though, and I'm just gonna spread a lot of glue in here and on the other side as well. Push them together. There is these double holes in here, you can maybe see. These, they should align the both layers. There's of course these puzzle joints in here. Need to glue up those as well, and they should align themselves so accurate that, well, that's Perfect. Then we'll just spread the glue in this and this surface and push these together. And then we'll need to put glue down here. You can see down here on this seam, this bulwark top is going to be glued against this bulwark side, of course, as well. So 2 seams in here and there, and 2 layers of plywood for the whole boat, for the both sides. So that's today's agenda. It's going to be a big job. I have plenty of snacks in here, and yeah, let's get started. Alright, the beginning is a little bit slow, but I think I'm going to get hang of it soon. That roller was a disappointment. It was too big and too clumsy, and it kind of stuck too much into the epoxy. And I actually don't have the smaller roller handle anymore. I throw those away, so I need to get that if I need. But I think that spatula, it just works just fine. It's good enough, and I get enough epoxy there. And now I'm gonna put some screws in here to hold this in place, and then I'm gonna continue with that. And luckily it's pretty cool day. It's around 5 degrees Celsius. Sun is warming up a little bit, but I have plenty of working time with the epoxy. What I think I'm now gonna start doing every other to each side, so that won't cure too much in here, but I don't think I have any problems with the chemical bond during this day. So yeah, hoping to get a little bit more quick. And yeah, I'll put later just the time lapse here and shoot a little bit of some details, but I'll keep this rolling until the battery dies. Alright, the first pieces are in and glued, and there are screws now in. I might have to put a little bit more epoxy. I don't see that much of a squeeze out right now. That tells that the wood is kind of sucking the epoxy a little bit. So yeah, but otherwise it looks very good, everything aligns well. Those alignment holes of course are the thing. It's taking quite long. I have now done maybe 2 hours, a little bit more. I got this first batch here, 1.5 kilograms of epoxy gone into this. So that's gonna take quite a bit more, and it's gonna take a whole day until the evening. So I hope I can manage it. I really would like to do this whole thing today, so we'll see about that. Whew. All right, the decks are in and they fit very well. And yeah, it took 6 hours, 6.5 hours to do this. And yeah, my son actually brought me this roller. And yeah, it was much faster than the spatula. So good to know that. No spatulas anymore. And it was more easy to get the even spread with the roller as well. So that's good. There in the front, the first layers, there might be a little bit too little epoxy there, but I hope it's enough. I really think it is. They are very smooth. There's no really gaps to fill. I think it will work just fine. And then there is a hundreds of screws to hold everything together. And yeah, it looks good. The next job is to do the side walls here. And I'm gonna do one side at a time. But first I'm gonna check that the side deck is actually on its right spot. So let's check that out first. Here on the back you can see probably that these pieces align with the molds quite nicely. Now it's actually screwed into the mold with that screw, so it doesn't move. And the important thing here is really down here. So the lower plywood edge should align with this edge right here, and here it's spot on. And now I'll check all the places here, and if it's a little bit off, I can move this a little bit. It's not that stiff that it wouldn't give up a little bit. The next job is to start putting glue into this. And this first piece here, this is gonna have glue down there on the bottom. To glue it into this groove here. And then on the top here to glue it into this notch right here. And the second one is gonna be glued against this, into that notch down there as well. And it will come against this right here. But first, I'm gonna take a little break and eat a little bit something, sit down for a while. And yeah, it's a big job, but it went quite smoothly after all. And it took, I didn't count actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 6 kilograms of epoxy. Quite a lot actually, yeah. But the plywood really soaked and sucked the epoxy quite a lot. Actually much more than those strips where I did those frames from. So the massive wood didn't suck that much epoxy, but the plywood really does suck much more. Looking good. Still a few hours to get this done. And then I'll take a break for a couple of days, I think. Fingers are the best. Alright, now the first side is completely in glue, and now I just need to put that second layer on its place. And I have to say, this kind of glue up wouldn't be possible in anywhere warmer climate. It's 10 to midnight. I have been here about 10 hours now, so there is still the other side to do, so that will take a couple of hours at least. Just take it slowly. I have no hurry. The epoxy has plenty of working time, and I'm using the slow hardener, of course. This 15mm plywood isn't actually 15mm. It's more like a 15.8 or something like that. And the tolerance between there is a little bit too small, so it won't go completely down in there. So there's a little bit of a void in there, but I think I can fill that later. And now I'm just gonna screw it against the other one and call it done. Then I have to do the other side still. It's okay that there is some mistakes or challenges, but after 10 hours of work, those they are a little bit too much. Yeah. Okay. Let's take some screws and screw this thing in its place and leave it there and clear the mistakes later. Okay, I think I just have to face the truth now and realize that I'm too exhausted to do the other side tonight. It's midnight. I've been here for 11 hours or something, 10 to 11 hours. And yeah, no energy anymore, so I'm sorry. I was sure that I can do this in one day, but yeah. Maybe I should have started a little bit earlier. I wanted to get everything ready before I started, so yeah, it went into 1 or 2 o'clock when I started. So I think this is now good enough. It didn't go perfectly. Everything else went very well, except for this last one. I need to make some adjustments to that side before I do that. I have something else to do tomorrow, and yeah, not sure if I can come and do this, but I'll leave this now for a night and for tomorrow, and maybe tomorrow I can come here and put the heater on for a little bit if it's not cured. It seems to cure quite well, even though it's maybe 5 degrees Celsius here. So yeah, good night. All right, it's a few days later and it has been freaking cold. It has been snowing like 10 centimeters or something. It has been a few days and the epoxy is cured. There's a little bit of tackiness I can feel, so it hasn't been warm enough here. The reason why there was a little bit of a problem, of course, was that this plywood is slightly thicker than the 15 millimeter. My plans are for 15 millimeter plywood, and this is 15.6 or 15.8. With 2 plywood sheets, there's over a millimeter thicker than it should be. It did fit here in the front, but it didn't fit there in the middle. And what I think it's okay, because the glue up really isn't the structural thing that holds this together. There will be a fillet in there, maybe some fiberglass. The glue up is just to hold them in place for now. But for this side, I think I'm gonna do a little bit of a dry fit first, just to make sure that it fits there. If it doesn't, I have to make some adjustments for that. The good thing about this is that it really doesn't matter that much, except for the frames. I need to probably adjust the frames a little bit so that the frames fit on top here in those places. Everything needs to be adjusted anyway, and we'll be doing a boat here, so. Yeah, I was hoping to get this video done in one day, kind of glue everything and call it finished, but yeah, it will take a couple of days. And I want to mention a couple of additional things as well. If we turn the camera this way, there is my trailer, and there is 20 sheets of OSB board, and this will be the molds for the middle of the boat. And by that I mean into those grooves there in the center. So there's 20 sheets and I need to cut 18 of them, I think. So there's a couple of extra. So that's gonna be quite a big job. They are cut with CNC, of course. So I'm gonna start that next week, not in this video though. And then one more thing. I went yesterday and bought these things. And that is, my friends, a lead ignite. And I got 20 of these and they weigh 20 kilos each. So I think I have now 400 kilos or so of lead. And what I call that is a good start because I need 5,000 kilos of this. So yeah, quite hard to find. Now I just need to figure out where the heck I'm gonna put these. They weigh a lot. Just to explain briefly what's going on in here. First of all, it has been so freaking cold last few days that I haven't really even tried to heat this place, and the epoxy from the last Thursday's glue up is not really cured well enough. It's a little bit soft, not sticky, but you can feel the surface. Yeah, so I need to wait that to happen. It should be much warmer later this week. It's now Wednesday afternoon. And the glue up was done last Thursday, so almost a week ago. But now I kind of started to figure out the second side, and for that I want to check a little bit how this actually went. And mostly I think it went pretty well, but here in the front there is a little bit of a problem. Well, as you can see, the frame 1, which is in here, there will be a frame 0 here in the front, but that's frame 1. Kind of dry fitted it there, just check how it fits. Fits quite well, but not perfectly, which is not common in this project. A little bit of fiddling is needed. The frame is actually a little bit thicker than the slot in there. A few millimeters there and here and there. That's not a big deal, I think. But it looks like the gap in there is big enough so that this plywood will fit in there. So this actually might be the one frame that had a little bit of a spring back. It should be easy enough to kind of squeeze it together a little bit. Yeah, but I think that easy days are over with the boat build to just get things from the CNC and just put them together. This is much more complicated than that, so some fiddling is definitely needed here. I just start to fiddle this out off camera a little bit. I need to think a little bit, and I have to keep the heater on. It's pretty cold still. It's like 2 degrees outside, and yeah. I got all the screws taken out. It looks good, except I think I messed up this glue up quite badly. I told you earlier that the outside plywood here, this outside plywood here, it didn't go that well there in the middle. That's okay, I can feel that gap. But what I didn't check was the other side. If we go this side and stick our head underneath here, you can see that there is a gap in there. There is a gap in there. And yeah, I didn't even check that because this side, of course, was right against the mold here. But for some reason, this plywood didn't go all the way down against this bottom piece here. And there is now quite a significant gap there. Right there in the front, it's quite small. And right there in the back, it's quite small, but all the places here, it's kind of big. And I actually cut a hole in this mold in here to check that. I don't know if there's enough light here to see anything, but I think you'll do. So that gap shouldn't be there. And that is a problem because that means that this surface here is too high. And why that is a problem? If we go and take a look at this frame here, it needs to go down by this amount, 15 millimeters, and it should go down in here for 15 millimeters. But as this surface is too high, it will hit this. Okay, I can trim here, but then this is wrong as well. I need to trim that as well. And of course, the side deck isn't straight anymore, so it's kind of crooked a little bit. And now I'm kind of anxious what I should do. It's still pretty easy to fix. And honestly, right now I don't know what I'm gonna do with that. But that said, I think it's enough for this video. I'm gonna continue the glue up with that side eventually here in the few days, I think, and figure out what I'm gonna do with this annoying mistake. The really important thing is that this surface of the frame is on the right spot. That bulwark or those side decks, they don't really matter that much. But I still would like them to be accurate enough so that everything else later can be fitted there without any additional fiddling. And what I have learned here is to use more tolerances, especially when it's about the thickness of the plywood, because plywood, the thickness tends to vary. It's never 100% right. So I think that's the main reason for this mistake. And that other side, the gap on the other side, it's kind of it didn't even cross my mind that that could happen. So, well, it happened and it's there, and the epoxy is cured, and no way to move that anymore without cutting it off. That's one option still, which is annoying, a lot of work, but I'll figure that out. But as mentioned, this is now enough for this video, enough jammering. We will see in the next video where we'll start to cut this pile of these OSB boards to the middle molds and hopefully get some of those installed as well, and hopefully figure out how to fix these. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for subscribing. There has been quite a lot of new subscribers. I hope that continues. And of course this frame here, well, it looks nice and it kind of resembles what we're actually doing here. And this video and a couple of last videos were partially edited by another fellow, so all the revenue from these videos is actually now going into making these videos. If you want to support making these, please subscribe, please check out the Patreon if you have any means for supporting projects like these and especially making these videos. We will see you in a couple of weeks. Bye bye!